admits to making a huge mistake as a teen, found a way to take that mistake and create change.
Fox 5 photojournalist Jesse Burkett Hall shares the story of Marcus Bullock.
I remember the very first time I went to go visit the White House with my mom. Made our way down to the security gate during the tour, and when it was time to give all of our driver's license and, you know, our social security numbers and birth dates, that was the moment where a security guard looked at me with confusion as if he knew that I knew that I was violating. He told me then that I couldn't come into the White House for that tour, and I would never be able to tour the White House. When I was 15 years old, I made one of the worst decisions of my life. I grew up in Northeast D.C. before my family moved us to Forestville, Maryland. My best friend and I, during my sophomore year of high school, we carjacked a man in Springfield Mall. I stood in front of a judge as a 15-year-old kid, and I listened to that judge sentence me to 8 years in adult maximum security prisons. And I believed that I was going to come home every single weekend up until about 2 years in.
I was visiting him every weekend. I felt like he was becoming more depressed, if you will, being incarcerated.
And my mom was also sitting on the edge of her bed trying to figure out how to navigate her emotions, knowing that her 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old son, 22, 23-year-old son was sitting in prison and worried what was going to happen next to him. And so she made a promise to me in the prison visiting room that she would either write me a letter or send me a picture every day for the next 6 years of my prison sentence.
So I made sure that not only on the weekends, not only could he call whenever he wanted to call home, but he received a communication from home every day.
She would go buy those one-time use 24 exposure cameras and just start taking random pictures around the neighborhood.
It was just like if I was having a conversation with him.
One thing that people don't know is that in prison, mail call means everything. Flickshop is one of the easiest tools that allows for our families, no matter where they're located, to be able to connect with their loved ones. The way our mobile app works is that a mom can capture a moment while she's at her office desk, take a quick snapshot of her lunch, type a quick message, "Hey Joe, I can't wait for you to come home and enjoy these kinds of turkey club sandwiches with me one day." Press send, and we print that photo and that message on a real tangible postcard. We ship it directly to her brother or her husband or her aunt or uncle in any cell around the country. Fast forward this year, when I was walking down Constitution and I'm getting ready to get into the line to enter the premises where I will walk through this TSA-like security process. And as I'm handing over my keys and my wallet and I'm walking through the metal detector, the only thing I could think is, my children are proud of their dad. And I would have never believed that one of the biggest, deepest valleys of my life would have created an opportunity for me to be able to crawl up that mountain to now this new peak.
Wow, what a story from photojournalist Jesse Burkett Hall. Marcus has a popular TED Talk and continues to travel the country sharing his story. You can catch more of Marcus's interview online at Fox 5.
Smash and grab heist took on a whole new meaning on Long Island. This time, the suspect used a tool to crack a car window while the driver was unaware, stopped at a traffic light.
CBS 2's Jennifer McLogan reports the heist happened minutes from the Roosevelt Field Mall.
The shopper had just spent several hours and hundreds of dollars here on a high-end Apple Watch. When driving away from the Roosevelt Field Mall, police say the soon-to-be victim was unaware that he was apparently being followed. What happened next in North New Hyde Park at this intersection and red light appears beyond brazen. In a matter of seconds, the burglar, using a center punch tool to smash the window with gloved hands, grabs the bag with a pricey item. No one was hurt. According to police, the suspect, with stolen merchandise in hand, ran back into his gray SUV, being driven by a female accomplice. Together, they fled eastbound on Evergreen Avenue.
Maybe they need to get more police protection. It's very scary. It's very scary and alarming.
The grab and the go, that's not a good thing at all.
No, I don't shop at night.
This was daylight and is one in a series of crimes in recent months connected to the Roosevelt Field Mall.
It was a day when Roosevelt Field was, you would love to go there. Can I just say this? I have a granddaughter who got hurt there.
punched in a food court brawl, she says. And we've received police releases about slashings, gunpoint robberies, a man exposing himself, groups nabbing handbags worth thousands, and a jewelry store heist.
We're out there, and we're out there in numbers, we're out there in force. But again, unfortunately, many of these laws allow for these criminals to go free after they're arrested.
The county executive says many mall crimes are being committed by repeat offenders from out of state. Nassau Police says the department has a robust security detail of police officers and supervisors that are permanently assigned to the mall. Police point out past smash-and-go crimes like these in the city are part of a national trend. Shoppers who feel they're being followed or witness anything suspicious are urged to call 911. On Long Island, Jennifer McLogan, CBS 2 News.
Just shocking video caught on camera. We reached out to the Roosevelt Field Mall and are waiting for a statement from them. They did refer us to the Nassau County Police.
A celebration taking place at Rikers Island in recognition of Pride Month for staff and inmates who identify as LGBTQ. As News 12's Carmen Grant explains, this year's Pride event was the biggest Pride celebration ever held at the jail facility.
It's a celebration of love, self-acceptance, but most of all, pride.
It feels great that we can come together during Pride Month and uplift each other.
In recognition of Pride Month, Rikers Island held its own special event to celebrate its staff and those incarcerated who identify as LGBTQ. Jordan Williams was the event's MC here at Rose M. Singer Center for Women.
It allows me to gain
A new center aimed at reaching more people when they're released from prison, as New Jersey positions itself to be a national leader in reducing its prison population. Newly released data finds it's succeeding, in part because of those strong reentry programs that keep the formerly incarcerated from reoffending while giving them a second chance at life. Senior correspondent Brenda Flanagan reports.
We must understand that we have to change this system of incarceration. I know what it is to be an incarcerated citizen.
Nafisa Goldsmith served time at Edna May, New Jersey's notorious prison for women, where a federal probe found staff beat and abused inmates. New Jersey's prison system still leads the nation in racial disparity. But a new study by the ACLU reports some good news. New Jersey's reduced its overall prison population by more than 50% since 2011 and now leads the nation in decarceration. The ACLU credits bail reforms.
With the reforms came the immediate and dramatic reduction in the number of people incarcerated before trial. Thousands fewer people lost jobs, health care, and family connections.
Research shows Jersey prisons held 19,600 inmates back in 2017, but as bail reforms kicked in, that trended downward, then plummeted dramatically from 2020 to 2022, leaving 12,500 behind bars.
This was done by passing a one-of-a-kind law to release nearly 9,000 people early during the COVID-19 pandemic. We also legalized and decriminalized cannabis, significantly reducing arrests in our state. And bail reform has been a resounding and stable success.
Defying popular expectations, the violent crime recidivism rate remained below 1%.
What New Jersey has proven is that you can, in fact, have both safety and justice. You can reduce the number of people behind bars and be safer and have more healthy, thriving communities as a result.
There's a lot to be proud of in New Jersey, but we haven't yet reached our potential.
Statistics show 60% of Jersey's prison population remains overwhelmingly black and brown, but people of color comprise only 15% of the population.
It highlights the racial disparities here, and we need to work on the issues which are feeding the system, creating this structurally racist environment.
Advocates fear new tough-on-crime bills, especially those with mandatory minimums, could threaten the progress New Jersey has made by incarcerating more people for longer prison terms.
I don't believe in mandatory minimums, but I do believe in mandatory services, getting people the services they need to rebuild their lives.
Former Governor Jim McGreevey chairs the board at New Jersey Reentry Corporation and today helped cut the ribbon on its 10th facility in Carteret. It's a place where folks coming out of prison can get back on their feet with career training, job placement, addiction treatment, legal counsel, and health care. They help veterans, too.
I also wouldn't probably be alive today if it wasn't for the New Jersey reentry program, because I didn't even have medical insurance when I found out that I had cancer.
If you need help with finding a new career, any type of driver's license, fines, anything that you need, please go to reentry because they can help.
Kaya Thompson now has a job as a phlebotomist. Supporters say this program gives people a second chance. In Carteret, I'm Brenda Flanagan, NJ Spotlight.
Back in a courtroom today. Yeah, this time appearing before the state Supreme Court, arguing against the permanent suspension of her law license.
In our next case of 2023-0472, Disciplinary Counsel versus Tracy Hunter.
Former Hamilton County Juvenile Court judge and convicted felon Tracy Hunter represented herself before the state's high court this morning. Notably missing from the bench, Justices Pat DeWine and Joseph Dieters, who both recused themselves from the case. During her argument, Hunter, speaking about herself, claimed constitutional issues regarding violations of her due process and submitted evidence, among other things.
It was also a violation of respondents' due process rights when the board rejected all of her exhibits, refused to allow her to present a closing argument, and refused to give her time to retain a new lawyer after her lawyer quit, when she confronted him about failing to provide a legal brief to review on the day that it was due.
Hunter was previously convicted in 2014 and sentenced to 6 months in jail on one count related to confidential court records she shared with her brother, who was an employee of the courts at the time. The case dragged on for years, exhausting the appeals process, and finally ended with Hunter dramatically being taken into custody in 2019, despite her physical objections. Following her conviction, a disciplinary board recommended to indefinitely suspend her law license.
I have been suspended without my livelihood, without my law license, without my ability to provide for myself for almost 10 years when justices on this honorable court have abused and violated the exact same statute that they accused me of, yet no evidence was submitted in my case.
You'll have the full transcript. You will see she offered no exhibits at hearing. It's not that they were excluded or weren't allowed in. She simply didn't offer them. Additionally, due process requires that she have an opportunity to explain the circumstances surrounding her conduct. She was provided that. She had 6 weeks to file a closing argument. She didn't do so.
Don Sheets represented the disciplinary counsel and called Hunter's conviction a threat to public confidence. He says that there are no other cases in the state he's aware of involving a judge and felony charges.
And there aren't a lot of judges committing felonies, and there aren't a lot of cases. It's a serious matter, and it doesn't happen. And that's why we're asking that you take this so seriously, to instill confidence in the judiciary.
There's no precedent involving a judge that has facts like this, though, that you're aware of?
No.
Now, Hunter telling the justices during her closing argument today that she wants to return to law and be made whole again. However, no decision was made. Instead, the justices said that they will take the case under advisement and Hunter will receive a decision from the court. No word on how long that could take, but we'll, of course, keep an eye on the case and let you know when the court rules.